My father, he said, और मैं अपने फादर को इस पॉडकास्ट में बहुत फंसा देती हूँ हर बार. Merry Christmas and welcome everyone to this new episode. This is Samriddhi and this is Aishwarya, and today we are going to discuss our privilege because we've been called out about for our privilege in the last few episodes. We thought we'll talk about our privilege. And specifically, we want to discuss the privilege that comes with being in a upper caste heterosexual marriage, not just a relationship, but like when you institutionalize it, involve the government and and the patriarchy and everything, right? So but we are heavily privileged because of that, and in order to get straight into it, I want to ask Aishwarya. So because of this podcast, I happen to know that Aishwarya's family belongs to another caste as her husband's family. So theirs was an intercaste marriage. So I want to hear from you to add the 2 teaspoon of Kalesh in the overall 2 tablespoon of Kalesh to begin this podcast. How has your intercaste marriage been like?
अभी मजा आएगा ना भिड़ो.
So yeah, like first of all, my marriage is not a typical love marriage. So it's not like, I've known the person for XYZ years, we were dating and then we were like, okay, let's get married. So we happened to meet on a Jeevan Sathi or Shadi.com wala portal only. So it's a kind of a love or arrange wala semi thing. So it's not even something that I had to I was dating someone and then telling my parents ki acha dusra caste hai wo wala cheez hai. But before I tell you about that, Samriddhi, I'll take you a thoda piche, okay? So like you said that me and my husband have different caste. I am from a Rajput background. And hamare yahan ye tha ki like while growing up, it was not just something that we used to hear from parents. Like thankfully, my parents se to maine nahi suna. But then there were these things around me. Actually, मम्मी से सुना है मैंने एक दो बार कि अगर किसी और में कास्ट में शादी करने की सोची तो हमारे यहाँ लड़के लड़कियों को काट देते हैं.
Oh yes.
Maybe in a very jokeful manner, but that is something that
but it's a serious implication. Yeah, she's implying
right?
something. And I want to just interrupt here and mention, because we both belong to Hindu families, and I don't want to make my family sound like they're very orthodox or something like that. But in terms of hierarchy, लड़का होना चाहिए, हिंदू होना चाहिए, अपर कास्ट होना चाहिए, और मुस्लिम नहीं होना चाहिए.
हाँ, वो तो एक है ये.
हाँ.
मतलब वो बट क्रिश्चियंस को तो हमारे यहाँ सोच ही नहीं रहे हैं. बाकी
हाँ.
तक
उनसे कौन कर रहा है? बट मुसलमान नहीं होना चाहिए.
Yes. तो मतलब and this is something whether we want to agree or not, इतने बार repetition सुना है कि वो माइंड में घुस चुका है, राइट? मतलब सो दैट वाज समथिंग कि मतलब लाइक आई सेड लाइक नॉट फ्रॉम माय पेरेंट्स. मतलब मैंने कभी वो अपने पेरेंट्स में इतना नहीं सुना था कि ओके कि क्या होना चाहिए क्या नहीं होना चाहिए वर्सेस. बट देन देयर वर पीपल मे बी माय पेरेंट्स के फ्रेंड्स इफ दे आर कमिंग होम एंड ऐसी कोई बात चल रही है, नॉट अबाउट माय मैरिज, अबाउट समवन्स मैरिज, एंड दे वर हाँ रीइंफोर्सिंग कि नहीं हमारे यहाँ तो सेम कास्ट में ही शादी होती है. या फिर मतलब अगर किसी और की कहीं हो गई तो दे यूज्ड टू शेम देम अबाउट इट. इट वाज अ वेरी कॉमन सिचुएशन कि अंकल आंटी घर पे आ रहे हैं, ऐसी कोई गॉसिप हुई तो कोई ये नहीं बोलता कि ओके द गाय एंड द गर्ल आर हैप्पी टुगेदर. नो वन वांट्स टू फोकस ऑन दैट. दे जस्ट वांटेड कि हाँ नहीं हमारे यहाँ तो ऐसा नहीं होगा, हमारे बच्चे तो ऐसा नहीं करेंगे. एंड अनफॉर्चुनेटली सबके बच्चों की इंटरकास्ट हो गई. So I think I'll take an example again of my brother. Uska proper arranged marriage he set up tha. And then at that time my parents were very particular about this caste ka thing, ki that is what we knew. मतलब not them also, my brother mind में था ही नहीं, मेरे अंदर भी नहीं था कि हाँ ठीक है दूसरे कास्ट में देखना सोचना है. And so that was one thing, and due to some reason that marriage did not work out. So I think that was what shifted the gears for my family mentally. कि आप सब कुछ कर रहे हो, आप एक चेकलिस्ट में आपने सेम कास्ट का लिया है और मतलब सारी चीजें यू हैव डन, एंड स्टिल इफ द थिंग्स डोंट work out, you don't have any control over it, right? So I think that is where उन लोगों का भी एक mentally वो चीज shift हो गया, and we never, I think, बहुत बाद में जाके, like, you know, after a gap of 4-5 years, when in this situation came कि okay, now it's my turn to get married, सेम चेकलिस्ट से शुरू हुआ था कि ठीक है, ऑनलाइन जाएंगे, प्रोफाइल बनाएंगे, लुकिंग फॉर राजपूत लड़के ओनली, ठीक है। अब मुझे 2 साल कोई राजपूत लड़के पसंद ही नहीं आ रहे हैं, एंड आई थिंक दैट इज व्हेन वी हैड दैट कॉन्वर्सेशन। एक दिन शाम को एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बना था, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट भी नहीं कह सकते, बट देन इट वाज अ ऑफिशियल डॉक्यूमेंट जिसमें साइन हुआ था, बिकॉज आई यूज्ड टू मैनेज माय दिस मैरिज वाला पोर्टल का थिंग, एंड माय मदर यूज्ड टू मैनेज इट, ओके। सो शी वुड शॉर्टलिस्ट सर्टेन पीपल, आई वुड शॉर्टलिस्ट सर्टेन पीपल। नाउ व्हाट शी वुड शॉर्टलिस्ट I would not like, what I would shortlist she would not like, right? So literally my father had to sat the two, like he sat the two of us down. He is like, अच्छा ठीक है, bare minimum क्या क्या चाहिए तब बता दो, कि तुम्हें हाइट इतनी चाहिए, तुम्हें ये चाहिए, मम्मी कह रही है राजपूत चाहिए, मैं कह रही हूँ मुझे फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, मुझे बाकी चीजें ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है। एंड दैट्स वेयर लिटरली वी साइंड ऑन दैट डॉक्यूमेंट कि ठीक है, ये चीजें हैं, then the caste doesn't matter. And that also did not come like this, you know, it took 2 years for us trying to
And
find
marriage.
and like, you're lucky in that way that you did not have to go through that struggle, you know, where literally that is also itself a very different procedure, कि भाई तुम किसी का एक resume देख रहे हो, फिर shortlist कर रहे हो, and then you're hoping to fall in love eventually and all that, right?
Yeah.
So I think that is like when my parents were okay कि यार ठीक है, अपने हिसाब से करना है, जैसे करना है तुम ढूंढो, तुम देखो, take the guarantee that you'll be happy in whatever you're deciding, you know. So that thing came, but like, you know, it was a very 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 long due wala thing. So but I'm happy ki we never had to sit down and have that conversation ki kya caste and all that. But बाद में होता है कि बाद में वो टॉन्ट्स के तरीके से या कहीं से, not from the family but from the people around, अंकल आंटी को बताया, भाभी कोई मिला नहीं क्या राजपूत में आपको?
आप कहाँ थे ज्ञानी बाबा?
आपको मिल रहा है तो आप अपने बच्चों के लिए ले लीजिए, हमको नहीं मिला, हमने मार्केट ढूंढा, हमको नहीं मिला. So that was that situation. But Samriddhi, back to you. Like, I know that you and Vignesh, you both belong to the same caste. So like, how is this experience for you guys? I am like, you know, can you tell us about that?
Easy peasy. Been a smooth ride as far as it goes about our caste and where we stand in the society. So when I told my father that, you know, I want to marry this guy, that conversation, contrary to what one would want, was just 5 minutes long. Because he's like, Acha, you know him? I was like, yeah, I've known him for like 10 years. I know him since school, whatever. Sorry, since college. So, what's his name? His name is Vignesh, or his second name, Shukla. So, I think he was 90% convinced there, right?
Okay.
Beyond that, there were clerical questions that, you know, is the guy, then you think about, is the guy nice? Will he
Yeah.
happy well or not, you know, but
Yeah.
this is the basic checklist जिसके beyond हम बात भी करेंगे. मुझे नहीं पता if my father will do the same thing today, because we all change as course. I don't know if like, you know, how he would react if I came with another surname in a different world. I would have been single or whatever. If my sister comes with a Musalman boy, I don't know how my father will react, right?
Not there yet. अभी वो तो नहीं हो, वहां तक तो नहीं पहुंचे हैं. I think हाँ, but वही है कि parents are learning also much more faster than I think we could ever learn. मतलब उन लोगों को कितने mind में अपने rules change करने पड़ रहे हैं, don't you think? कि मतलब उनको अब society से pressure है to be cool about these things. मतलब पहले that was not the situation.
Yeah.
But Samriddhi, like you said that, you know, he was very cool about, you know, knowing the fact that, okay, whoever you have chosen is from the same caste or something like that. I want to ask you, don't you think, like, what do you think? It can be two things. One is your family ka traditions, where they're like, ki, nahi, this is what we want and everything. Then the second is what actual their co-workers, their friends, the people that our parents hang out with, वो लोग जो माइंड में बातें डालते हैं कि हाँ ठीक है, मेरे तो arranged marriage हो गया, ये हो गया. What do you think out of the two, like the family and the people they are also surrounded with, किसका pressure ज्यादा होता है and that gets channelized in you know, whatever they expect out of us?
Yeah, that's such an interesting question because I've seen a very strong influence of both in both my families.
ओ भाई मारो मुझे मारो मारो मुझे
My own father. So there was this debate in our courtship period of whether I should go for higher studies. So our engagement was announced, and मेरा फिर
Yeah.
थोड़ा mood shift हुआ, and I was like मैं शायद MBA कर लूँ इस साल. And so Vignesh wanted us to live together after an MBA. So after our marriage, he wanted us to live together. So he was like, ठीक है, then let's push the marriage. MBA करके आ जाओ, मस्त आराम से फिर शादी कर लेंगे, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. My father, he said, और मैं अपने फादर को इस पॉडकास्ट में बहुत फंसा देती हूँ हर बार.
जोर जोर से बोल के लोगों को स्कीमें बता दे.
अंकल भी लाइक मेरा अलग फैन फॉलोइंग यहाँ से आ रहा है.
But I confronted him about this. I told him,
हाँ.
Papa, let's push the engagement. He told me, मैं अपने बाप से नहीं बोल सकता ये बात कि मेरी बेटी का engagement push हो रहा है. I can't have that conversation. So you have your wedding. You do
हाँ.
out your MBA by yourself. Nobody said don't do MBA, but तुम करो अभी. So I've seen family having a very strong influence. I've seen friends having a
Yeah.
very strong influence.
सही पकड़े हैं.
But I want to ask you something on what you said, you know, कि एक expectation रहता है जैसे कि मतलब friends या कोई भी डालते हैं कि साथ में रहना, like you know the technically times have changed, we are you know living in a very like different scenario, but हो तो वही रहा है ना कि लड़की ने अपना घर छोड़ा, वो किसी और फैमिली में गई, एंड एक्सपेक्टेशन वही है कि वो नई बहू है तो वो सबको जोड़ के रखे. I think that mindset has not evolved.
Yeah.
I want to say that do the guys also take the same amount of effort for our set of parents? They're very respectable, matlab, but sab karte hain. Like, you know, they are very sweet and everything. But wo us situation mein nahi rehte where a girl is after the marriage, where you are surrounded by new people. You've just had a bond with your partner and suddenly you are surrounded by new people, and expectation क्या होती है कि 2 दिन में मम्मी बन जाओ, 2 दिन में पापा बन जाओ, and you already have मम्मी पापा, तो किसी को इतनी easily वो status दे देना is also a challenge, right?
Yeah.
So while we are progressing जहाँ पे भी कर रहे हैं, but how was that experience for you? Like how easy was it to say कि okay, this is my new parents or something like that? क्योंकि मेरे लिए तो बहुत बड़ा challenge रहा है for a long time.
Yeah, no, it took me some time also. Like his parents were too sweet. So they wanted us to call each other's parents mummy, papa for a very long time since we got engaged. So they would drop hints कि अब तो, you know, अब तो.
रहा नहीं जाता, तड़प ही ऐसी है ना. नहीं, it's okay.
Yeah.
But they were indirectly hinting to do that, but I took my time, and
Yeah.
mummy, papa, they also behaved like mummy, papa. You know,
Yeah.
they were
Yeah.
that figure. A lot of times that's not the case. That's what makes it even more difficult. So it was relatively easier for me. They are parental figures for me. They have been very lucky to have them. So it was good. But what you said, I think principally access changes. मेरे पास suddenly इनकी family का बहुत सारा access है. All relatives have I have had, and I'm not somebody who does a lot of phone calls, does a lot of texting, video calls, तो बहुत दूर की बात है. But I've had relatives who didn't even come to my wedding, just give me a call, video call.
Okay.
With great intentions, sure, but that put me in a very awkward situation because I don't know. You're just chatting. Nobody is doing that to Vignesh. In my parents, my family, they call me and ask, Vignesh ji, free hai kya? I have to scold them. I have to tell them, please, you call him directly. You have direct access, just like here, everybody has direct access to me. You also have Meri Mausi. They're all close to me, but for the longest time, they would ask me for Vignesh's attention. Now, dheere dheere, they're directly calling and all of that. And it also depends on time and how you bond, etc. But utna time, it's just not there for girls. Boom, just shadi and boom, you have, like, you know, you are put in this one position and you have to act in that way for a while. Like, you know, that gaze that you get as a new bride. I get that gaze. Matlab,
But yeah, said like, and for my situation, like at least here you had that maybe 10 years ka courtship period, right? To know who you are stepping into a new life with. For me, it was very fast. Maybe 1 year of dating and then 1.5 dating and then, directly jumping into this thing because we were sure of each other. But I mean, the contrast is so high, like, once you're dating versus once the day
Oh
you
my,
get married.
oh my God.
मतलब the life changes. I am like कि अभी कल तक तो responsibility वगैरह तो छोड़ दो, दूर दूर तक इनसे कोई मतलब नहीं है. But then suddenly तुम एक दिन उठ के बहू बन जाते हो, मतलब कि हाँ जाके सुबह उठ के गुड मॉर्निंग मम्मी, गुड मॉर्निंग पापा. नॉट दैट कि तुम्हें वहां जाके कुछ काम करना है, वो वाला है ही नहीं.
नहीं,
बट
बट एक
इट्स
वो
जस्ट
बहू का एक रोल है, एक वो एक बॉक्स है जिसमें एक बहू फिट होती है, और वो बॉक्स
हाँ.
से मुझे बहुत प्रॉब्लम्स हैं.
So मैं तो I'm telling you from my own experience. I've been like I'll be married for like 2 years in the coming April. मैं अब जाके मेरी शाइनेस खत्म हुई है. मुझे 1 साल तक my mom-in-law used to go to people and say कि बहुत अच्छी लड़की है, जो दो खा लेती है. मैं चुपचाप खा रही थी. But अब I'm like नहीं, मुझे ये चाहिए, मुझे ये चाहिए. So that period of not being shy also. मतलब मैं
Yes.
अच्छी लड़की हूँ. I'm not saying बहुत बुरी हूँ. But I'm like कि to even speak for the basic things ना तुम बहुत time लगा देते हो. So
Yes.
now same आंटियों के पास जाके my mom-in-law would be like no comments.
देखा आपने लापरवाही का नतीजा है.
है ये जो है, but that is also there. So I think सबका eventually, like you said, कि in your situation both of them were very welcoming at the first, and in my situation क्या था, मैं जितनी awkward थी उससे 10 times दोनों awkward थे. So like if I used to enter, पापा ऐसे बैठ जा रहे हैं, ऐसे ऐसे हो रहा है. So I think it took like collectively the three of us, it took a lot of time to get comfortable to a point कि अब जाके हाँ थोड़ा casual झगड़े हो पा रहे हैं घर में, वरना वो भी नहीं हो रहा था.
शाबाश बेटा, बहुत बढ़िया.
So Sam, having spoken about that, now I want to ask you that in the current situation that you are, married in a heterosexual relationship, are there any notable privileges that you have felt? मतलब this is like opposite of what we were talking. एक struggle हो गया, ये सारी चीजें हो गई. But what about the good things? Like, are there any notable privileges that you have seen happen on, changes in your daily life or so?
Everything. I think I can simply compare it to how things were when I was single versus now when I'm married. So why we're specifically mentioning heterosexual marriage, because the same kind of privileges do not happen to otherwise other kinds of couples, right? And we don't belong to that. Like we don't belong to that community, so we don't think we need to comment on that. We can only talk about the privileges
Yeah.
that we face. So yeah, when I was living alone, it was terrible. I don't know if you remember or not, but I'd put out a story. One morning I woke up and I opened the door for my maid, and some bully had put like used condoms at the gate,
Yeah.
at my
Yeah.
door. And
Yeah.
I've had neighbors peeping into my house and like visibly just standing and staring into my kitchen and everything. I've had very traumatic experiences, and I've lived in multiple cities. I've lived in Mumbai, I've lived in Hyderabad, Bangalore, I've lived in my hometown, Kolkata, alone. And living alone in all of these places, it is now living with a boy who I'm married to, who also happens to be from the same community. My life is so much easier. When I come home at 3 a.m. in the morning, my guard is not staring at me anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's so true, like the entire journey of being independent or living independent, the independent life, we never talk so much about the kind of struggles, like you said, even if you have to get a house alone, then it will be a struggle, if you are just a couple of girls or if you're just a couple of guys also, that entire life, from getting a home, then managing it and, like making the entire thing work out, it's a hassle. And like you said that you've had major experiences like that. I personally don't have one, but I remember a friend of mine, she was traveling for work, and then like she was staying in a good hotel like that was booked by her office people, and then she is staying there, and she hears some noise and like her eyes open up in the night, and then there's a man standing in her room.
Oh my
Then
God.
she like runs out on, complains to the hotel staff and everyone that how is this even possible, and everyone took it so lightly. My problem is कि हाँ ठीक है वो चला गया ना. So मतलब how convenient कितना बन जाता है for the society to just say कि कुछ गलत नहीं हुआ तुम्हारे साथ. And being
Gaslighting.
independent bachelors, or like especially girls, all you have to do is walk on a knife and say कि हाँ मैं safe भी हूँ, मैं independent भी हूँ. वो balance करना ही इतना बड़ा challenge हो जाता है. So definitely marriage के बाद ये सब problems तो ऐसा लगता है कि है ही नहीं. कुछ भी ऐसा कुछ major काम है, the husband will look out for it or you will look out for it, but you will not be judged for a lot of things that you were maybe before for.
Things don't change. My responsibilities don't change. What I bring to the table does not change. The gaze changes of how
Yeah.
people look at us. That changes.
Yeah.
I think my opinion now counts more that I'm married. Within my
Yeah.
family, people tend to take me more seriously, respect me more now that I'm married. Same things if I would have said, they wouldn't have listened to me earlier.
Yeah.
This also happens. But at the same time, I think if I was married to somebody of another community, I don't think the journey would have been so smooth and like it would be like a piece of cake. No, I think it would have been way, way different in my family.
भाई मजा आया.
Sam, very interesting thing that what you said reminded me of one thing. Did you ever face this thing कि शादी के बाद करना ये वाला tag कुछ हुआ है, be it traveling
Tattoo.
alone?
First
Nice.
tattoo. First year of wedding, first tattoo कराया मैंने क्योंकि मुझे मेरे पापा, again I'm throwing my father under the bus.
कैसे कैसे लोग रहते हैं यार यहाँ पर.
But I was not allowed to get a tattoo, and I was specifically told do it after you get married. So I did. I have 2 tattoos now.
But yeah, same thing, एक time था, it was not like कि रोका गया या कुछ भी. But if I was going on trips with my friends or something, अभी सब घूम लोगे तो शादी के बाद क्या करोगी and all that. And so मतलब वो नहीं हुआ. Thankfully, I feel bad for the people जिनको कुछ ऐसे aspirations होते हैं कि कुछ XYZ ड्रेस पहनना है, XYZ घूमना है, और उनकी शादी भी ऐसी जगह हो जाती है जहाँ नहीं हो सकते, राइट? सो कुछ लोग वो ड्रीम करते रह जाते हैं, दे कीप वेटिंग कि एक दिन शादी होगा, सब मैजिकली बदल जाएगा, एंड लाइफ लिटरली डजंट चेंज. बट आई लाइक वन थिंग हाउ माई मॉम इज स्पेसिफिकली कि जितना डांट उन्होंने मुझे शादी के पहले डांटा, लाइक फॉर ट्रैवलिंग और समथिंग, नाउ इफ आई एम डूइंग दैट विद माय हस्बैंड, शी इज लाइक उसका टाइम वेस्ट करा रही हो तुम लोग, बस उसी के साथ उसको ये कर रही हो. आई एम लाइक कुछ नहीं बदला भाई, मेरे तो शादी के बाद मेरे लाइफ में कोई चेंज आ ही नहीं रहा है.
Because you're the younger one.
Yeah.
That's right.
बट हाँ ठीक है. सो आई थिंक दैट इज ऑल्सो वन थिंग कि कितना इजी हो जाता है फॉर सेइंग दैट कि ये चीज शादी के बाद कर लेना, और शादी के बाद तो भाई क्या क्या हो जाता है वही हैंडल करने में आधी लाइफ निकल जाएगी.
भूल जाते हो आपकी क्या क्या करना था.
हाँ, that's there.
खत्म.
So I think we have come to the conclusion that yes, we are quite privileged bitches, and at least we recognize it. We don't want any credits for recognizing it, but we don't think that people are actually coming out and talking about it. These kinds of privileges do exist. I know that other communities do recognize it, and it's the least that I can do is actually say that yes, it exists. Talking about like minorities and communities in general, it breaks my heart to see that I am doing Diwali, but my maid, who also belongs to the Hindu religion, she comes to clean my house on Diwali day. She comes to clean my house on Diwali day. So that sort of thing breaks my heart. That sort of thing makes me not identify with a certain caste or religion because of how it's been portrayed to our generation, because of many things. But at the same time, just by me saying that I am not a Brahmin, I don't belong to Brahmin, even my father does, it does not take away all the privilege that I anyway enjoy by the virtue of my family being Brahmin, by the virtue of the family that I'm married being Brahmin. So that's all we want to say, and we hope to see you next week again, and we hope that you enjoyed this episode. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye.